Hello and welcome to this B1 Usability Package e-learning session. My name is Rasmus Jensen and the topic of this session is SAP Control, where we'll be looking into the basic information of how it works. So here we are in Business One, and if we look at, for example, the sales order, SAP Control is all about which order the cursor moves between the different fields when we press tab. So if I press tab here, choose a customer, you can see if I press tab, I'll go to name, contact person, reference, then the BP currency, then the primary up here, posting date, delivery date, document date, item, type, and then down into the lines and so on. So what SAP Control does is it allows us to change the layout of what happens. It could be, for example, that we don't use the BP currency that often and we don't use this one, so perhaps we rather want to have that it goes from customer to name directly over here and then back over here before it actually goes this route. So SAP Control allows us to do that, and let's see how we do that. So it's actually quite simple. What you need to do is you need to hold out the Control and the Shift key while pressing the first item in the tab collection, being the customer code here. So if I press here, I will get this system message. And it will ask me if I want to start a new collection or if I want to remove an existing tab collection. If I already had a tab collection, I could press remove and it will get rid of that and come back to the basic setup that SAP provides. But in this case, I want to start a new. I'm then asked if I want to have this be the same setup for all users or only for the current user. Many people use the all users, but there can be certain scenarios where current only makes sense. It could be, for example, that you had put on using item placement tool certain fields, but only for certain users, and you wanted to be able to go through those as well. While other users didn't have those fields, you couldn't make one single collection because else it will fail for the rest of them, not being able to set that item that they don't have. So in my case, let me just take all users, and it will now say I added this field. This is item 4 using the system information, and that is now position 1. And all I need to do is now I need to use the mouse to go through the different fields that I actually want to have in the order. So I will say the name is the next one, and as you can see, the fields already in the collection turns green, so you know that they are in the collection. Okay. Next field I want is posting date. Next is delivery date. Next one is document date. Then I want to go back to the contact person. Then I want to go to customer reference. Then I want to go to BP currency. Then the primary, and to the item service. And then I will have the rest. Okay. So what I need to do now is in the end field I ended up in here, I need to Control Shift click again, and I will now be asked if I want to save the collection after my collection is done here. I can press yes to save, I can press no to just get rid of what I actually did here. It might have been incorrect, so I don't want to have it. Or I can press cancel in order to continue collecting. I forgot one field, for example. In this case, it's okay. I want to say yes. And it's now saving the collection. It is now saved, and it asks me that I need to close and reopen the window in order to actually get the new collection. So I do that, I close, and I reopen. And it has now provided me with the new collection. So remember, the old one was these 4 fields, then over here, then back here, and up and down. So if I choose a business partner code now, I'll of course start in the code, then the name, then the posting date, delivery date, document date, back to contact person, customer reference number, and we are at the end of where we left off, and the rest are just provided afterwards into the system. I'm essentially able to do this for any single window in Business One. Again, just Control-Shift, click on the first field, use the mouse to show the new order, and go back again. If I, for some reason, need to modify this, I can either just delete the old one and create a new one, or if you are up to the challenge, you can go to the user-defined windows and into this one called Tab Control, which is essentially just holds the data. You can see I have a few tab controls as well. And for example, if I wanted to have exactly the same tab control on the invoice, because invoice have actually the same setup, you can say. Right now I don't have the setup, of course, so it will do the old way. I could essentially go in here and say, okay, I want a copy of this, because essentially what we did with the pressing of the different fields actually is the same as this. So I just provide an auto-generated code on name here. Say I want it for 133, that is the form type for invoices, and I want exactly the same as this one up here, down here. User is, since it's empty, means it's every user, but if I put in the user codes of different users, I could get the different setup of the different users. So if I say update and go to invoice, you will see that it actually hasn't applied to the system yet. You can see it will still go about the old way. That is because we are caching this data, and since you have manually manipulated, you actually would need to stop and start usability packets. Let's do that. Stop it. And start it again before it actually reloads its cache. So you can certainly do it like this, but you just need to stop and start usability packets in order to get the new data. So here we have stopped and started again. And now it should have applied to this one. Yeah, so we are back. And as I mentioned, if you don't want it anymore, click on any field, Control-Shift double click, remove it for all users, and it will be removed as soon as you open up again, and we are back to original setup. There is some few limitations on what can be part of a tab control. Only essentially edit text fields and combo boxes can be part of tab control. You can tap into a checkbox, you can tap into a button, and you can tap into a matrix. So, but still, it's a nice feature especially if you combine it with item placement tool, where you move fields around, then be able to actually update tab control to follow that new design of the window. This concludes this session. For training material, please go to service.boyum-it.com/education, or if you want a free demo of the product, go to license.boyum-it.com/b1up. If you want to contact us, you can do it either by our sales email or our support email. Thank you for attending.